Okay, next section, management tools. Something that's near and dear to my heart. I hardly ever go onto the website, twitter.com. And I primarily use Tweetdeck, which is one of the management tools. And then we also cover Hootsuite, which is a nice backup and alternate tool that I like to use, and I know a lot of other people do. So this is kind of a tweet. It's not that confusing, but
why don't you bring up the real one?
I'll bring up the real one.
That would be easier.
How about that? How about I just click?
Not so important.
You'll see all my tweets on Tweetdeck, but that's okay.
Yes, but it's easier to visualize.
When I put this presentation together, Tweetdeck, of course, released a new version, which has a ton of bells and whistles that I'm pretty excited about, in a nerdy kind of excited way. So, based on what I knew last week, we'll go forward.
And let me just clarify, some of you who already are on TweetDeck, I know because we set you up on TweetDeck. Other people, make sure you go upgrade, because I was trying to do some stuff just today Eric told me about and couldn't find the buttons, and then I upgraded to the 3.3.2 version, and now I have those buttons. So if you're on 3.3.2, that's the latest that I know.
So it's not letting us in because we have the old Internet Explorer.
No, that we should explain. Some of you who were on before may not be able to get on if you're on a Forest Service computer, and the reason is the Forest Service took off Adobe Air, which is what's required to run TweetDeck. So if you can't get TweetDeck to run and you don't have admin rights, I just reloaded Adobe Air and it works fine. But don't tell anybody that. So if for some reason you can't load Adobe Air and yours won't work now, just use Hootsuite, and we'll go over that tool after this one.
Did you say Adobe what?
Air.
A-I-R?
Air.
Yeah, Adobe Air is basically the backbone or the operating software that TweetDeck and some of these other software platforms run on. It's a pretty complicated. It's not complicated, but it's a pretty new technology, and I don't think some agencies really know the security value or values at risk, if you will, of Adobe Air, so they took it off in some cases. Although in some parts of Region 3 it's still on, so it depends on who you are, I guess.
So if we do have TweetDeck, we can assume we have Adobe Air.
Correct, yeah. If it works,
Maybe they haven't cleared it off your computer yet, so if one day they took mine off just when they do that Tuesday sweep.
Yeah.
They just did it while we were in here.
if they are listening, you won't have a
Probably.
Why do you
We're still in Google and Chrome,
Okay.
so we can access it.
Oh, all right.
That's advice I got from the expert next to me.
I learned it all from her. He gets all the.
And I stayed at the Holiday Inn Express last night, so I stayed smarter. Sorry. So yeah, TweetDeck will allow you to do multiple accounts. I have my agency accounts here, and then a couple of personal ones that I manage, as well as some clients of mine. But first, my default account is my personal one. So that's all you see on the left-hand side column. It says all friends. That's the status of all the people who I follow. And I really don't pay attention to that all that much. Every once in a while, I'll catch my eye if something pops up. But these people here I follow for the most part. Well, I have to follow them to get these messages. I follow a lot of media and fire folk. This person here, Jen Burgess, who I just kind of highlighted here, she's a former anchor with ABC 15, and she contributed to a blog post and an article that was published about PIOs and media, and the interaction, the media's view of PIOs. And it was quite a refreshing article. But she's currently talking at 5:20 next week and doing on the media panel. But anyway, that's who she is. She's we're working on a couple projects. But here's Bree McGee. Hi, Bree. And all these things in this column here, in the second column, is mentions. So anytime you're mentioned with your username
And the @sign.
and the @sign, you get credit for that message, if you will. Josie, right here. There's me because I retweeted something and it had my name in it, so I popped up. Some other folks. And then this column here is direct messages.
That's his page.
Yeah,
you can't go to him.
And that's all the messages directly to me. You know, the DM, if you will, or the D plus my username. And it comes in like this format. And some you got to watch out for. There's a virus or a phishing attack through Facebook. So some people's accounts you may see get hacked, and you'll get these messages that says, "Is that you?" with a link, or a funny video with you in it with a link. And whatever you do not click on these links. If you suspect any link in a direct message, don't click on it, because what could happen is it could unleash a virus or a worm into your computer or in through Twitter that will send direct messages on your behalf without you knowing it, with links to a certain website or to a certain website that has malicious code on it. So you want to have a little situational awareness in your direct messages in Tweetdeck, in Tweetdeck and also on the web.
Eric?
Yeah.
Hello. I have a question. This is Claudia. So, just going back to that issue of having that connection to Facebook that might really be a phishing, how, again, are you going to know that exactly
Well,
if you're doing something with a wide variety of people that you might not even know who they all are? How will I look to see that, oh man, I better not open that?
Well,
Could you kind of repeat that again?
it's kind of tough because you got to use your discernment. If you suspect, like, hey, I saw a video of you yesterday, and it's from somebody you know, you figure, oh, I could trust this person, but it's a weird link. Some of the links will come across as a bit.ly or a tiny URL, which are pretty trustworthy, but some aren't. So it's situational awareness, what he said. Another thing you could do is you could take a link and copy it and paste it into a search engine, like Google or Technorati or whatever, and see where it takes you. Because a lot of times that'll flag up in Google. You're not actually going to the site. Google will go to the site for you and tell you what the link is about. So if you suspect something...
That's very helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. So, there's Chris's message that just popped up.
Oh, I'm tweeting. Sorry.
Is that a direct message?
No, it was not a direct message.
Right here is the message field. Real basic. You type in your message, la 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 la, and you will have a little counter in the corner, just like on the website. It'll count down how many characters you have left. Then you could also take a web link, like Twitlonger. We'll take this web link from any web page. It's just an example here. Type in your message, blah blah blah, and then paste in your web link. Notice it'll shorten it for you right away into a shortened link. So you don't have to go to any website or a special tool to use. Tweetdeck will do it for you. As long as you have the little checkbox on the side here, it says auto shorten URLs. And it's pretty straightforward. And when you're done with your tweet, you can hit enter or hit this little tweet button here, and it'll send your tweet out. Really easy to use. The other cool feature, real basic in Tweetdeck, is you can hover over the avatar of somebody, and it'll come up with these tools. There's the reply, or retweet, or direct message, and it'll, like if you wanted to direct message me, you just click on that message and type in your text, and then hit enter. Or
And
send.
you don't have to put DE Neitzel in again. It puts it in for you. That's what makes it so much nicer to use these tools.
Let me take a message that's retweetable here. Here's Chris. I'll retweet her. So I hit the retweet button on her avatar, and I could either add a message at the end. You could do like a forward space, which is kind of the new trend. Not question mark. I question her a lot, but not today. And then you type in your text. Super something. I have no creativity right now. And then hit enter, and it'll send it out for you. You don't have to go on the web. You don't have to learn how to reply via the website. This kind of does it for you here. And if you see, or if you want to send her a direct message, you just hit the direct message button. It automatically populates in the text field, and you can send her a message, and it'll go. Just make sure, double check, triple check, especially if it's sensitive, you have that D right there in front of her name. That means direct message. Otherwise, it'll go out to the world.
And I think most people, the problem that I have is that I'm used to using Tweetdeck, and I'm used to hitting direct message on there where I don't have to write in the D.
Right.
I just type my message. So when I get to somewhere like on my BlackBerry, or I'm doing it somewhere else and I don't have that automatic D, I forget to put it in because I'm used to using it on a Tweetdeck. So some you have to put it in yourself, and some it puts it in for you. Just make sure that it is apparent somewhere that you've done it to the, you have the D in there if you mean it to be a direct message. Show the add column and do a search on the SM Fire.
Okay. While we're hovering over the icons here, the other actions would be you hover over the lower right corner, and then you can hit reply all, just like on an email. It would reply to all that are mentioned in your tweet. Reference to, that's an RE, that's just reference to this message. Then you type your own message. Of course, you have favorite, and go in your favorites file. Or you can set email tweet. So if you have a controversial tweet you want to send to somebody not on Twitter, you can hit email tweet. It'll open up your email program, whether it's Lotus or Outlook or whatever, and it'll email that tweet for you. You just have to put in their email address and send it. So that's handy. I've used that in a couple of assignments or gigs. Translate is a new tool. I'm thinking that's language translation. I haven't done it yet. Untranslate, and then mark as read. It's pretty straightforward. Or delete. You can't delete somebody else's tweet. But if this was my own, I could delete it. And then it gives you, on the other menu portion, it just gives you add or add to a list or group, follow, unfollow. So if you get somebody that you don't want to follow anymore, you just kind of hover over that icon, click the lower left corner, and it gives you all the options to view profile, search what she's done, block and report spam, which is handy because you get a lot of spammers coming in. You can just hit block and report, and it goes to Twitter's spam department, and they take action however they do it. So it's away from you. So that's kind of the anatomy of this tweet here. Hashtags will come up, and they'll be clickable, like PIO. You click on that, and it'll open up a whole new column just for PIO's hashtags. So here's Jen's. This guy is talking about something about people videos. PIO might mean something else in Europe or Catholicism, but you'll get some of that. But for the most part, it's all here.
Click on the pound sign SM Fire.
Okay, let's go to SM Fire. Is there anyone in here?
Well, actually, why don't you use that one to show adding a column up top to use those keys.
Adding a column?
You know, to add a column at the top and show them how that one works. The plus sign.
Oh, okay, yeah. Here's a search. This little plus button up on the top left, next to the gold button. Just click on that, and that'll open up a search. So you can search for any kind of topic. It shows you the recent searches that I've done on hashtags. SM Fires right here, photo, other popular previous searches that I've done. Search for, let's do NAZ Storm, which is kind of a recent gig. And it was about a month ago, so there's no hashtags. They've kind of disappeared. So if you wanted to get rid of a column or edit it, you could do that here. Editing you could change the hashtag into another hashtag or search. You could do wildland fire. And it'll do its little search deal and bring up everything associated with wildland fire. Which is nice when you're on an incident. You can hit keywords surrounding your incident, like community of Flint Ridge, or evacuation areas, or evacuation, or station fire.
Hey everybody, this is R2. We have a question, just real quick.
Yo.
And it could be a policy. It could be a policy question. So maybe some of the other regions could chime in. But are we allowed to have Tweetdeck on our computers?
You're not?
I don't think so.
There's nothing that nobody's ever taken.
Anyone?
It won't let me on, I just tried.
Well, that's because you don't have Adobe Air.
No, I don't.
Well, and they took Adobe Air off because it's a secure. It's a.
I'll put it this way. A lot of people do, and a lot of people don't. Yeah. Go ahead.
Neither Michelle from the Park Service or I could get on, and we used Chrome Google, and we were able to get on.
That's okay, yeah.
Right.
None of my friends are
Circle
for it,
better.
none of my friends are against it. I'm with my friend.
So it's up to you. Again, a lot of these choices are things you personally have to make. There is another application called Hootsuite, and Hootsuite will do the same thing. So if you have a problem with TweetDeck, use Hootsuite.
And we'll show you that in a couple minutes.
That's part of the don't get hung up on the tools. There's another tool right behind it that does the same thing. So, pick what works for you. Go ahead.
Except for internet, you have to have internet at 8.
Actually, you don't. For TweetDeck, you do not have to have a special internet. Although Hootsuite, I believe you do. You have to have 7 or better.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle Chrome too.
Or you could use Firefox, which is, I think, is allowed
Yeah,
before
I just downloaded the Adobe Air and
So.
I tried to download Tweetdeck.
I wonder what you guys did over during the break.
Okay, so that's kind of the search thing. You can hit the plus sign, set up your search parameter, and it'll create a new column for you in TweetDeck. Very simple. Also, this thing is scrollable, so you can scroll your columns.
Hey, Garrett, somebody's talking. I don't know if it's in the room, but it's really hard to hear you.
Okay. I'll get the PAL.
Okay, everybody turn your mute button on.
I think it's us.
It was us.
Okay. Sorry, we'll be quiet.
Mumbly thing. So yeah, the other great thing is your columns, you can slide across. It's very smooth. You can slide across to all your columns. There's a feature called New Followers. You can see who's following you recently. Again, you can just go to the little search feature, click on Twitter.
Go figure.
This is all brand new, so I just learned this the other day. Core means all the basic functions within Twitter. And you can hit new followers if you want to. You don't have to, of course. Or you can filter out all your direct messages or mentions or add new columns. But it all comes standard. It's a standard feature in TweetDeck. It comes with mentions, direct messages. It does not come with favorites, so you can click on favorites if you wanted to. It's become, from a real basic shell, a nice program, it's become pretty intense. And there's a lot going on with it. You can now update your Facebook fan page if you have one. or your basic Facebook home, your regular personal page as well as your LinkedIn, which is another social media platform we're not going to get into. It's more of a personal deal. Your LinkedIn status.
Also, for Facebook users who can't get on your Forest Service computer, if you're on TweetDeck and you click a Facebook column, your Facebook column will let you see anything being added to your Facebook page without you having to go there. So you could technically monitor a Facebook page without having to go there to see what's posted on it.
So it's kind of like a one-stop shop that TweetDeck provides. I like it a lot. I prefer it over Hootsuite. The only drawback between the two is this is an application that you load and install, and you need admin rights and Adobe Air, which is kind of like the backbone of this program. And Hootsuite's web-based. It's a little slower, especially on slower connections, but it'll get the job done. And I'll get into Hootsuite in a little bit. The functionality is kind of, if you have a question about what a button does, just hover over it. Here's refresh. It'll refresh your messages and give you all the current latest messages into your columns. You can do a single column view, and then shrink it down to one column, and you get to slide around the columns as you wish. And in the settings, it's kind of important to, once you install TweetDeck and start using it, there's a couple of things you need to be aware of. Some, functional, and some kind of you change your skin color in the program. But it's all preferences you can choose. Autocomplete for usernames is one of the. I'm in the settings portion, by the way. There's a checkbox for autocomplete, which is nice. As soon as you put in an @ sign in the box, it'll come up with a list of your followers, and then you can just kind of scroll down until you find the one you want, or just hit their first name, first letter, and it'll go to like all the Z's or the M's or whatever until you find the person you want, which is nice. And it'll also do that with direct messages as well. And then press enter to send an update. I've in some situations I've unchecked this box because on keyboards some keyboards it's really easy to hit enter by mistake as you're moving your finger, large fingers across the keyboard. So I've unchecked this and relied on the little send message box or button because I've prematurely launched a message that was halfway through, and it's kind of embarrassing. This is really important to show the preview information for short URLs. That will take any of the registered short URLs and show you where it's pointing to. So if somebody sent out a link and shorten it with like bit.ly, it will show you where that link is going to go to before you launch your browser. Like, let's see here, PIO social media training. Oh, that's a full link. Sorry. Well. There's a bit.ly in here somewhere. Here we go. Click on the link. Yeah.
May I ask a quick question while you're talking about the shortening of URLs?
Sure.
Hello?
Yeah, Joe.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. In light of our new web page, what do you want to call it, migration, some of the URLs on there are extremely long. Will Twitter or TweetDeck, does it have the capability to shorten that long of a URL?
Absolutely. I've had the URLs, must have been 500 characters in like a weather service link, shorten it down to 18. So I don't think there's a limit on the amount of how long the URL is.
Okay. And as I understand, in Twitter, you have to use an external tool, but TweetDeck is built in. Is that correct?
Correct.
You still need a Twitter account.
You still need a Twitter account, but once you set up TweetDeck, it'll do it for you automatically, and I'll show you in the settings how that's done. But the preview of the link, so here's a shortened link here. I have no idea where this is going to go. This might go to firehottie.com or something like that. If you click on it and you have that preview box checked, it'll tell you where this is going. It'll tell you what the current short URL is, the title of the page you're going to, and then the full link. So, and then it also gives you some metrics. This has been clicked on 183 times today. That's good news. I want to know that kind of stuff before I launch a web page, because this can go to some questionable website that's got weirdness on it. So, and then once you click on that, it'll close this box for you and then launch your web browser. It's a good safety feature that I recommend everybody do. And back to settings.
Thanks, Aaron.
Sure, Joe. Thanks. Good question. And then there's keyboard shortcuts. I don't use them, but I mean you can get into it. And then here's a button, minimize to taskbar. So when you actually exit out of TweetDeck, it won't close it completely. It'll put it right into the taskbar. So something to think about. If you want to close it completely, you want to uncheck this or hide to notification area. Sometimes when you're doing presentations and you think you've closed TweetDeck, you'll get a little pop-up saying, your latest person's tweeting, and yeah, it's kind of off-putting. So that's kind of the gist, the basic settings of TweetDeck here. Then you can go into the Twitter settings. There's not much to go on here, but show follower count in tweets, which is handy. You want to see how many people are following somebody. Like if you look here, this person who just tweeted on the All Friends column, she's got 797 followers, or 3,000 here. I mean, it's good for clout, so who's tweeting them, how many followers are following them, their audience. I don't know if it's a big deal or not. Auto-include hashtags when replying. That's very handy. So if we take this tweet here from AC Fire Info, and I reply to it, it'll take all those existing hashtags and then put it in the reply for me. And then that way, when I reply to this message and hit go, it'll keep that track of hashtags going.
If you hit retweet, doesn't it bring the whole message? Everything's in there when you retweet.
Yeah, when you retweet it, it's just a copy of the message in its entirety. But if you wanted to reply and not have the rest of the text in there, it'll put it in there and it'll track your conversation. That's a handy tool. If I'm going too fast, let me know, or please give me a shout out. And then there's here's the notifications. And this pops up with all. I can dictate who comes up by this list here, and I'll show you how to do that here soon. But who gets popped up on the notification? So the reset or retweet button should edit before sending, which is nice because if you accidentally hit retweet, it doesn't send it automatically. You have the capability of either editing it, shortening it, or launching it. If you send without editing, it'll just as soon as you hit retweet, it'll send it out, and that's it. So I would recommend edit before sending, or always ask. And here's some. This is pretty technical, but API limit is it's an application protocol, blah blah. I can't remember the last digit, but what it is you're allowed so many tweets in an hour, because Twitter will cut you off after 150 in an hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and an API is a reply, a retweet, or even an update, automatic update here. It's a one API call. So it's actually a security protocol that Twitter puts in to prevent spamming and large-scale tweet disruption. They're going to be changing. They're going to be upping the limit here soon, but for now it's 150 per hour, and that includes receiving messages and direct messages through TweetDeck, just to prevent automated twittering. Fortunately for me, I've got unlimited because I'm a Twitter developer. Don't tell anybody. But so you could scale back if you don't want this column like my all friends column. You see it constantly moving. That's a single API call as soon as that initiates. You can slow that down to 10 people max per every minute or so. I just kind of have it up there. Notifications. So this little box that pops up on the screen. You could turn it off, turn it on, or just have a summary of what's happening, and that'll pop up on whatever side of the screen you want. You could have it down here in the lower left, or the lower right, whatever. The default's upper right. Gets in the way of closing programs out sometimes. They're kind of annoying. And you can have the annoying sound with it. It's a chirp. Whenever you get a tweet, it drove Jay nuts for the first couple days of the station fire. I turned it off. So right now I'm going to turn them off. And then you get skin colors and all that kind of stuff. And if you want to change your colors, and it's kind of vain.
Not your actual skin color.
No, not mine.
Your desktop. Just in case people are wondering.
And in the services portion, you could have a twit counter if you want to add that. I don't use it, but it's there. Primary language. Here's where you select the shorten URL feature. So if you want bit.ly, you can do that, or ISGD, or tiny URL. I use bit.ly because I can easily track on bit.ly's website where my tweets are going and how far they're going, their reach, and all that. And then your default photo. I didn't cover photos yet, but you could add a photo in TweetDeck and tweet it, which is handy. You have a variety of different photo services. I use TweetPhoto or TweetPic. I go back and forth. The TweetPhoto actually will put a link to a Google map if your picture has, like my BlackBerry has GPS, and it'll tag the picture with my GPS coordinates of where I took the picture. And it will put it in a map in TweetPhoto of where I was when I took the picture. So it's kind of handy on an incident. And then you could add or remove all your accounts. Here's an important feature if you travel and you go between 2 or 3 different computers. Like at home, I've got this set up where you can have a TweetDeck account and it'll remember all your settings in TweetDeck. So if you go from your home to work and you sign into TweetDeck like this, it'll import all your settings from the web, the Twitter server. And that way you don't have to recreate all your groups and settings and all that. It'll sync it up with you in most cases. But if you do get a new account or a different computer and your settings aren't quite right, you just go back and hit verify account, and right now it'll resync all my settings with my home computer and my work computer, as well as my laptop. So, another quick and easy way to add an account is this little plus sign right here next to the account feature. And then something new on Twitter, you could see what's going on in your groups by this little bar, status bar down here. And you hover over each, this represents a column, and you can see what's going on. Or you can go jump right to miscellaneous media, and it gives you that column right there. This is all my national type media. So follow, or new followers, that type of thing. So as more columns you add, the more little buttons you get here. Oh, there's an email that popped up. That's not TweetDeck, that's my email. Any questions so far? It's kind of dry, but once you get into play, I think you'll appreciate it better than using the website.
I have a question. I just downloaded all the TweetDeck software, and now it asks the questions. Register for a TweetDeck account. So a TweetDeck account is different than a Twitter account, right?
Yeah, but it's the same.
But yeah, TweetDeck will store all your settings for your TweetDeck program. So if you go to your home computer, your desktop computer, and install TweetDeck, it'll ask for your account information, your username and password for TweetDeck, which is usually your email, and then it will sync all your settings and your groups and your lists and all that kind of stuff, the same way you have it set up on your home account or your desktop.
So you should fill that out.
I would recommend it, yeah.
So you should register. Once you have it downloaded, you should register for a TweetDeck account.
Correct. You don't have to, but it's handy if you're jumping on from computer to computer, or if you're like on a platypus computer on an incident, and you don't have your access to your own laptop, you could download and install TweetDeck and then
Pull your own settings.
put your own, and it'll import all your own settings into it. A few others. I won't get too mired in here, but if you have a search column like AZ Media or agencies, I'll do agencies, you could show what's popular in this column. So right now it gives you all the tags of what people are talking about or who's talking. Breaking news is the big one. It shouldn't be in there, but those are the most tweeted people. Or reference links. And then you click on the link, it'll give you the preview, and then you can launch the web page. You can do filters. I set up a filter for Tiger Woods last week. Was it this week or last week? I don't remember. I was sick of seeing Tiger Woods, so I was playing around with this. This is a relatively new feature. I just filtered out Tiger, so all the tweets with Tiger reference in them didn't show up. Mark all as red. Clear the updates. So these are old. This is all old news, and I don't want to see it anymore. You can just hit clear, and it will clear the whole column. Right there. So that's really nice. And then these arrow buttons, you could toggle columns as far as directions go. Or you want to move the agencies to the visible portion of your screen, you can do that.
The best part of this is you just look up the name of your fire or the hashtag you've established and leave it on your screen running in the background, and it sends you a little blinky notification in the corner when something new's coming up, and you can have it only show you new things on your hashtag fire name, and you'll know what everybody's talking about you. Trash. No, anything they're saying about you.
Eric, the things that you cleared,
yeah.
They repopulate.
They repopulate. Yeah, they do. Something. You don't. It doesn't delete them. It just clears them from the screen, so you have a fresh slate. It doesn't delete any of the tweets, and it'll probably come back after you go out of TweetDeck and then come back in. They'll all repopulate.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then a few other buttons here that are pretty popular. Upload a photo. So if I have a photo of something going on in the fire or some type of action or any kind of photo, I just click on the link here and I search for the photo and I click the photo and then I start entering my text and then send the tweet. And it'll utilize one of the chosen photo options. I do tweet photo, and it'll send out the tweet with the link to the tweet photo, and people open the link, and they're there. There's also in TweetDeck, it doesn't, like on photos, it doesn't automatically launch a browser. To view a photo, it'll actually view it as a preview inside TweetDeck, which is handy because you don't want a web page open for every photo, and it's easier to look at. And I'm looking for a photo to open. And it'll also do YouTube videos too. So if you click on a YouTube link, it'll open up in a little preview within TweetDeck, so you don't have to go to another browser. So I need a photo. really snappy.
You kind of have to decide when you start these.
Oh, here's a photo.
Otherwise, people are just going to be frustrated because we're not getting information that they can use. They can get
Dennis, I have a clarification question. Does this program, you said it keeps it forever and you have to refresh, does that mean it'll have 2 years of information?
No. No, after a while, I think you can set the time. I've got like, 15 days? But you could set the amount of time you want a tweet to stay on your, within memory, within TweetDeck. And I'll try to find that.
Okay, and when you're explaining things like this, can you also talk about the pluses and the minuses?
Oh, okay. Certainly. The great thing, the plus is about like photos, like Twit photo right here. This guy sent a link. This guy this is Mike Shinling with Media Watch. He's just got a BlackBerry, so he took a photo of himself. I don't want to launch a whole web page to see his photo. I'll just click on it, and within TweetDeck, it'll just launch the photo without the web page. Now, if I wanted more information, I could click on the photo. It'll open up my browser with all the rest of the information in his account and previous photos on there. He's a star. And that goes with YouTube as well. If you're not committed to opening up a web page, it'll open up the a preview, and you can watch the video right in TweetDeck without opening up a web page. So here's another shortened URL right here, Sniper. I call it Sniper, it's SNIPR. That's another shortening tool people use. And that's pretty much, I get in a little more detail. You could actually record video from your webcam if you had one. It's 12 seconds of video, so if you wanted to send a little video message, you can. I've never done it. And then, one other cool deal is if you have a really long message, it'll go into the red. Your message box will turn red, and it'll tell you, okay, you're over 14 characters. So what you can do is try to shorten it as best you can. If you're running out of ideas how to shorten it, there's called a tweet shrink option. If you hit tweet shrink, it'll take, and it didn't shorten that much because it was already pretty short, but it'll shrink like social, went to SOC. Oh, it's social. This probably wasn't a good message to do.
Larry?
Yeah.
Question. If you're out in the field on an incident, could you upload a 12-second video from your smartphone to your BlackBerry?
Absolutely. I do it all the time. I didn't get that deep into it here, but you could, like my BlackBerry, if I'm on a fire somewhere, like initial attack for my county, I'll take a short video with audio. I can either talk on it or just let the raw audio play. And then it's called Tweetvid. It's built into my BlackBerry, and I could send it off as a tweet or even as an email. And people can see what's going on. It's very effective on initial attack fires if you have a lot of media following you. I give you and you have to put in the rest of your tweet of what's going on in the video. But I've used it quite a bit. There's also another tool, if we get on the BlackBerries, it's called Quick, QIK. It's a downloadable app. You can actually broadcast live from your BlackBerry. One time I did a live stand-up with my BlackBerry on the dashboard of my truck with Channel 3 in Phoenix. So it worked out quite well. But that's techie. I digress.
Thank you.
I'm looking for a shortener. Here's one from Chris.
So back up just a second on the video. So say for instance, I'm thinking incidents. Say we had some operations people who were out in the field and they had a smartphone. They could take a short video and they could upload it to TweetDeck.
Correct.
and then would they send out a message with that video, or would it just?
Yeah, it'd be just like Tweetdeck, or one of the pictures. You just upload video. There's going to be I think there's a upload. Oh no, you have to go to Tweetvid, which is another video, Twitter video posting. It's just like uploading a photo and then putting in the text of what the video's about.
Under other useful tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's on TweetDeck under other useful tools?
No,
No,
it's not like that.
on your agenda.
So it's separate from
Yeah,
TweetDeck?
separate. But you can do a little webcam deal. I've never done it.
One thing also to think about is, one thing that we're thinking of trying, assuming we ever get to another fire, I'm assuming this next year, but is being able to build, and you can build a private Twitter account. When you sign up for a Twitter account, there's a way to set it so that you get to choose who sees your updates. Now, for the most part, on the fire itself, you're going to want everyone to see them. But if, for instance, you had a large cadre of PIOs, 10 of them, and 8 of them were in the field driving around on trap lines, and you wanted to keep them updated on information, you could all follow each other in a small, closed Twitter account and send each other information. They can tell you what they're hearing in the field about the issues that they're having, or the mayor of so-and-so is really mad about not getting the something. Can you send him the press release? You know, I mean, okay, you could call on the cell phone, but if you don't have a, I don't know, but it's an option for you to be able to send information from and to the field. So think about using it that way, and then you can monitor it on your TweetDeck. You can pull up that column and be able to see when anyone is of your group is trying to get a hold of you.
So given that you have access.
Yeah. All this is dependent on internet. It's all dependent on power. It's all dependent on a lot of things.
So you would set up a group where each of the PIOs would follow each other.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you would set up a small closed group?
You could set it up one of two ways. You could either set it up so that you in the office, the tent, were using it to send updates to your field people. Meaning they could do it on their cell phone. They wouldn't even have, they'd get it, but it would be closed, right? And because the person owning the account, myself, back in the tent, if I set it up to be closed, I have to approve them before they can follow me. So I approve just those people I want to approve. So they're the only ones who are going to get it. Now, if you all want to be, if you want them to send back to you, back and forth, you all have to be following each other. Everybody would have to work off the same password. You know, everybody would be on the account, everybody could get in, everybody would work off the same, you'd call it the, I don't know, ABC Fire PIOs and share information. There are a lot of ways that like I said, a year ago we'd never dreamt of doing this. Now there's all kinds of possibilities. Just try. Just try. But there are ways to keep your Twitter account private.
Absolutely. There's also a new technology that I haven't tested yet. It's called Twitter Groups. It's an actual web service that you can load all your followers or your people that you want in a group, and it'll send out mass direct messages.
But that can also be retweeted.
It could, yeah. But if you have, if you're in a closed group and you just have just your friends or your colleagues, chances are they won't retweet what you just put out. Well, chances are. So, hashtags, there's another button here for recent hashtags that you've used. This is all the stuff that I've recently used or replied to. It's handy. If you're creating a message, you want to, let's put in this hashtag, Tucson. You can do Tucson, and then you can do SM Fire if you want. That's kind of the gist of TweetDeck. You can probably get in the weeds as far as all the functionality goes. There's a ton of different options, and apparently there's a new version coming out next week or next month that's going to have a lot more features in it. I'm hoping they're not going to, I hope they have a TweetDeck Lite, that doesn't get too complicated. This is an awesome little tool. Any questions? Alrighty then. Hootsuite. Hootsuite is a great, I use Hootsuite as a backup in case, I go to if TweetDeck fails for some reason, or if I'm on another computer and I don't want to load a program, or if I'm on a loaner computer or a hotel, I could have the same functionality as Tweetdeck in Hootsuite. Hootsuite is great. It's a little more limited in what you can do, but it's got a lot more. It's the same but different. Now let's go to Hootsuite.
We're going to put page numbers on after we revise it.
By then it'll be too late. I'm already lost.
And a table of contents.
Yeah.
Eric?
Yes, sir.
Eric, before we go too far, does Hootsuite work on our corporate computers with everything it's loaded on right now, or is it also dependent upon something we don't have loaded right now?
Well, I believe it only works on Internet Explorer 7 and 8. I don't think it works on the older browsers. It does work in Safari.
But it's just a web page.
It's just a web page. It's not an application you have to install, which is really nice.
So we're not approved for Safari and we're not approved for 7 yet, I don't think.
Okay, how about Firefox?
And I think the only thing they recently approved was Chrome.
Oh, Chrome will work. Yeah, for sure.
Chrome will work?
Yes.
So when you go to the page at hootsuite.com, do you sign up where it says the professional Twitter client, sign up now?
Yeah, you'll have to sign up for Hootsuite when you get to hootsuite.com. And then it'll ask you to populate your Twitter information, load your Twitter accounts and Facebook if you have them. And a few other features like ping.fm, which I won't get into. It's kind of a heady deal. But yeah, you'll see here on the screen anyway, you see the accounts I kind of manage. Except for mine. Which one? Okay, here it is. And it also depends on the screen size you have. You get more columns. So basically, it's kind of the same setup. You've got home feed, which is all your friends, mentions, direct messages. And you can set up as many columns as you want. I didn't get that deep with Hootsuite, but some of the benefits is you could schedule tweets instead of sending them now. If you wanted to schedule a tweet for...
You can do that in Tweetdeck too, right?
Not that I know of, no. The newer version coming out, I believe you will. And you can also send out RSS links, or it feeds off of RSS as well. But, so what you can do is you put in your tweet, hit send later, and it'll give you a date and time when you want to send a tweet. So if you have some automated, if you wanted to send out a press release you have now, but you don't want to send it out, you can send it out at 5 when you're supposed to or whatever. You can do that. You can put in the text with a link to the release and send it. Or you can do a reminder message in the future. Future out your messages. It's handy. A lot of corporations use it to schedule their tweets for the day. Coupons and all that kind of stuff.
And let's a practical application of this. There's a lot of tweet spin is another one which sounds really bad, as we try not to refer to what we do as spinning of information. But what if you had key messages for the day? You could schedule your key messages so that you didn't have to physically go in and do it. You could schedule your key messages to come out, throughout the day. 1 every 2 hours or something.
And then you can also go to if you wanted to release one early, you just go into the pending tweets column and then hit send now instead of waiting for it. I'm impatient. I don't like to schedule anything. I just do it. But yeah, you could send now if you have something important stashed in there. It's also good, like we talked about the heartbeat. is you could schedule every hour, have an update where some type of message come out, link to InstaWeb, please follow this person, or, you know, do you know where your kid is, that type of deal.
And also, yeah, the shoot.
And then it's got the link shortener here built in. The only bummer is that it uses the proprietary Hootsuite shortener. It's not a bummer, you just don't have a control over it like you do with Tweetdeck. You can use different ones, and you could, you're kind of forced to use the Hootsuite one. Maybe it's a personal thing for me, I don't know. But it's hard to follow the analytics on it as well.
If you click on stats at the bottom, if you send a tweet through there and ship it with their tweet, you can track the tweets you send.
Track your stats, yeah.
But it only does once you send a tweet.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric, I just want to ask a general question. Since we're kind of all getting integrated into Twitter and all that, do you think this is a program, and I'm asking you to speculate on something, but do you think this is a program that once everyone gets tuned into it, they're going to start charging for it?
I have no idea. I hope not.
Somewhere that there's been that thread on every tool, and it's never happened on any tool, so.
Okay.
The one tool that it did happen on was Uber Twitter on my BlackBerry.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to charge $5 to take the ads off. It's just a small little thumbnail ad. I don't mind it, but I paid the $5, so I didn't have that.
And I leave the ad on. I don't care.
Okay.
So, and plus it gives you a little more functionality on the BlackBerry. But I could see Twitter, if Twitter becomes a real monster, or TweetDeck, not Twitter, but TweetDeck. And there are all sorts of features in there. It's like the first few days are free.
Okay.
Then they'll charge. I see that coming, but I haven't heard anything yet.
Sure. Okay.
That's kind of why I'm hoping for a TweetDeck Lite. And then if you have multiple accounts here, you can do this. It shows all your multiple accounts that I manage, and one I don't. And then it corresponds with your tabs. But if you wanted to say, not a lot out of Pine Top Fire, they're not up and running, ready yet. Say Solo Fire. I find a tweet that I like, but I don't want to. It's in Solo Fire's account or this other tab, but I don't want to tweet it from Solo Fire. I can hit retweet, the little button up here in the upper right of the message. Hit retweet, and then unselect the account that I'm currently in, and then select my personal account and send it out. So you're not trapped into retweeting something from one account. You can retweet from multiple accounts or just one. I don't see this happening a lot because I think on an incident you just have one Twitter account and that's it, unless you have a group type deal, or a special Twitter feed. As Michelle said, you have the stats portion in the lower corner, and then you can select your profile, how many people you want to tweet or keep track of. I don't use Hootsuite all that often, or as far as the linking goes, so I don't have any stats in here. But you can see stats for as long as you want. You have a date range. It's kind of handy. But again, I use Hootsuite as a backup. Or if I'm on another person's computer and I wanted to check my messages, or if there's something important to get out, I can just log into Hootsuite and have the same function or similar functionality as TweetDeck. Moving on to settings. Your main account settings here. It's pretty straightforward.
Where's your settings?
In this lower tab in the lower right corner, the lower left. You have your stream.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Stats, settings, the different social networks you can tap into, like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. You load in all your different Twitter accounts. I have quite a few. A cool feature is if you're running a fire and you want to give out you don't want to give out your password to your forest Twitter account, but the agency wants you to use it, like we used the Angelus as the main Twitter feed last year. on the station fire, you can designate or delegate users through Hootsuite. You could add a user just by setting an email address or setting up an email address, and then their full name, and then it'll send them a password with the user credentials, but they'd have to use Hootsuite. They can't use anything else.
It doesn't work in Tweetdeck.
It doesn't work in Tweetdeck. But, which is great, because this is nice if you wanted to delegate somebody without giving them full access to your Twitter feed. Just go to users, add user, set up an email address and their name. I want to experiment with that this year, and a couple of statewide feeds I kind of manage is to give it to wildland fire partners to tweet their fire information, like prescribed burns and stuff like that. So I could send out multiple users to one account, but they'd have to use Hootsuite.
So can you use it, what I was thinking, is it possible to build that, your PIO group and let your PIOs add them as users, but they can't, on the fly, on the road, they're going to be on Blackberries, and you can't do Hootsuite on Blackberry.
There's
Okay.
an iPhone app for Hootsuite.
There is an iPhone app.
But not Blackberry. I think I tried to load it in there.
But there's a web app, so if you can get to the internet on your Blackberry, you can still do it.
Oh.
Just not through an app.
I'm thinking about putting it there.
So that's really handy.
Eric, so are Blackberries and iPhones the two best probably to get all these applications where you can go back and forth between your phone and your computer?
Yes and no. Blackberries and iPhone are kind of the industry standard. But the Droid that's coming out, or that came out, is an awesome phone, and I think I'd like to test it. I'm trying to get them to send me a free one.
You can test mine when I buy it Friday.
Yeah. So there's Droid, which is the Google type thing. So there's different phones, but BlackBerry, and I love my BlackBerry.
You need it's best with a smartphone.
Yes.
You can manage from a smaller phone, but
but I don't want to.
But I don't want to.
Multiple users on one account. It's really handy if you don't want to give out your credentials to the world. And then you can revoke access at any time. And then RSS feeds. It says RSS Atom, which is it's a feed that whenever an article is published on a certain website that has an RSS option, it will tweet every article that website produces, like Sholo AZ Weather. Anytime that the Weather Service puts out a hazardous weather outlook or severe weather type thing, it'll automatically feed an alert through Hootsuite. You don't have to do anything. As soon as it publishes it, it'll tweet out weather alert for Sholo, Arizona, with a link to the main weather page.
So you could go to your fire on IncyWeb, search for your fire specifically, click the RSS feed, and put it in Hootsuite, and then you don't have to Twitter it out, although, as Jay was saying, IncyWeb sends it anyway, but will it be more intelligible than the one that comes out from...
The one that comes out from IncyWeb, last year anyway, came out with a bunch of different hashtags and a longer link, and you had, 12 characters of actual intelligible text.
Yeah, he had used up so much information that it never... The only thing it was useful for was letting somebody know that there had been an update to IncyWeb, and it wasn't even specific about what the IncyWeb update was. And when I asked him to remove that hashtag, John had some good, reason on his part to not do it, but there's no. I mean, you're taking what we have 140 characters to start with. John introduced 20 or something like that, just in clearing the information coming out of IncyWeb, and then you have no control of whether it's activated or deactivated. And the only way you could cheat the system a little bit was it was capturing the first part of an article. So I knew how many characters were there. I would change the first sentence of the article so that I could get a complete tweet out that was articulated and usable. Then I would have to go back in and edit the article recreate the first sentence, and on the edit, it didn't do a retweet.
Ah, okay. That's a pain.
It is.
Pretty
It
time
was.
consuming, yeah.
Are the links automatically shown when it goes out that way?
Yeah, they gives you the proprietary Hootsuite, which is a .ow link. Owly, yeah, OWLY. So for my Sholo feed here, anytime a new weather update comes out as far as hazardous weather, it'll automatically tweet it. You lose some span of control because sometimes the Weather Service will put out something else, like precipitation update or interesting news, and then it'll get sent out, and it's like, oh. Anyway, and then fire prevention news, I had this is off now, but it's actually still feeding. And then all hazards news, all it feeds on another account that I manage. But anytime all hazards news, it's a news service for all risk stuff. It'll tweet it for me, just so I know. But it's pretty easy to add a new RSS. Basically, if you're like in Google News or Blogger, you take that little RSS feed, you copy it, and then paste it in here into the add RSS field or feed URL, and then you can have a check every 24 hours, every 12 hours, every 8, every 1 hour.
Something to think about that, and this is something that these guys on the station fire had brought up, and something to think about. This is a personal decision for everybody. Is whether or not who and what you retweet. At a social media conference I was at, the discussion was if you're supposed to be the source and you want to remain the source and you want people to come to you, should you retweet links to the newspaper or the other things? And I think that Jay had a good point when we talked several months ago, and that was that to remain the source, it's a good idea to not do a lot of retweeting yourself. Meaning the fire itself retweeting newspaper articles and all those kinds of things. And the problem is that even if it's a good article, it's good today, but if they start following them and then they're all bad from that day on, it's not that they wouldn't find them anyway, but I guess it just directing them almost says we condone this one, go follow. It's as though you're giving it your approval. The same as not retweeting anything but an official. Like I wouldn't retweet the newspaper coverage of how you apply for a FEMA grant after the fire, but I would retweet the FEMA page that gave you that information. Retweet the official Red Cross page that gives you sheltering information, not the article.
Yeah, the way we did that was we would just send out a tweet, right? So we didn't retweet anything, and we didn't link to the media, right? We just didn't do it. And because once we linked to the media, right? Because when we got there, it was linked to the LA Times, right? So the LA then goes to the political page, right? So it's all there. So what we did is, if we wanted FEMA information out, we sent out a FEMA tweet, right? So we never retweeted anybody's, and we never linked to anything other than a government site.
And that's I think for our purposes, for NEMA's purposes next year, is that we're going to adopt that as a way of doing it. But for everybody, you have to come up with your own. If that works for you, try it that way if you think you should. But what I was going to say was being careful here with an RSS feed. If you look up on Technorati or Ice Rocket or one of those search engines, and you do a search on the name of your fire, it's going to retweet everything that comes out from every source, and that might not be something you want to do. So just think about what you're sending out.
Chris?
Yeah.
I just wanted to add on the other side of that. I tweet, and I know who the media, the local media is, and so what I've done by retweeting what they send out, that means that I'll get a direct tweet from them saying thank you for doing this, and then I find that they're doing retweeting of my information more often. So I guess for me, just locally, it's built a better relationship with the media.
And like I said, I haven't actually, you guys have more experience doing it. One way, one went the other. It has to work for you. If I'm in an area where I don't know any of the media, you want to be a little careful. But obviously retweeting people's thing is part of the relationship, but it's just when you're on a fire, and I would say in a forest situation, it's different. when you're on a forest where you know your local media and you work with your media all the time, that's different. On a fire, you just have to decide what you want to do, if that's the way you want to go. It's all, a lot of this is very personal. So we don't have a lot of rules right now, a lot of protocols for what works on fires, on these kinds of incidents. We don't know. So we're relying on all y'all, as my southern friends say, to track what you're doing and tell us what works so that we can all learn.
Bree McGee just sent me a message, mentioned me a message. It says, wishing E luck on that droid effort with a hashtag. Who's go phone something like that? Who's got phone envy? Anyway, she's funny. So that's kind of Hootsuite in a nutshell. There's a lot more features in there. You can incorporate LinkedIn, which is that other. It's like a personal, professional social media platform, and Facebook. Probably won't get into that here, but you can add more columns if you want, Facebook pages, stuff like that. But any questions on Hootsuite? Bueller?